Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to think about the hidden, high-stakes wars happening right under our noses? Or, well, I guess more accurately, right on the food we eat. Today, we're exploring a fascinating and literally microscopic battlefield that's taking place inside our agricultural greenhouses right now. We're going to examine a really comprehensive study that looks at exactly how we can defend our most vital crops from some absolutely devastating pests. And the kicker? We can do it without spraying a single drop of toxic chemicals.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. Here is our battle plan for today. We'll start with the greenhouse pest problem, then meet our microscopic hero. After that, we're looking at testing the perfect diet, checking out some laboratory population battles, reviewing the real-world greenhouse results, and finally exploring the sustainable farming future.
So here's the core tension we're facing in modern agriculture today. We're seeing a massive boom in protected agriculture, right? To get that stable, year-round supply of tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and even flowers, we rely super heavily on greenhouses. But here's the catch. The controlled temperature and humidity that make those plants thrive, they also create an absolute paradise for pests. So the big question is, how do we actually protect these vital crops without just resorting to an endless toxic cycle of chemical pesticides?
Part 1. The Greenhouse Pest Problem.
To really understand the crisis, we gotta meet the villain of our story. This is Tetranychus urtica, but you probably know it as the two-spotted spider mite. Now do not let its microscopic size fool you for a second. This pest is a highly adaptable menace. And by adaptable, I mean it eats just about anything. It literally attacks over 200 different plant species across 30 botanical families. It pierces the leaves, feeds right on the plant, and leaves behind these ugly marbled spots and thick cobwebs. Within just a month of an attack, it can cause irreversible damage to cucumber and tomato crops by completely disrupting their ability to photosynthesize.
And the sheer scale of the devastation here is staggering. In heavily infested protected crops, the two-spotted spider mite can cause yield losses of anywhere from 40 to 60%. I mean, just imagine putting all that work in, only to lose more than half of your entire harvest to a pest you can barely even see with the naked eye. It's wild.
Now, traditionally, our main weapon against this pest has been chemical plant protection agents, specifically acaricides, but we've run into a massive roadblock. These spider mites have this incredible genetic potential to just develop resistance to those chemicals. Continuous spraying is totally failing us. Not only is the pesticide's effectiveness dropping off a cliff, but these chemicals also pose serious health risks to the farm workers and us, the consumers, not to mention how they contaminate our environment. So, we desperately need an ecologically clean alternative.
Which brings us to Part 2. Meet the microscopic hero.
Enter that clean alternative we've been looking for, Phytoseiulus persimilis. Now, unlike our villain, this little predator doesn't eat plants at all. It eats other mites. Specifically, it overwhelmingly preys on the plant-eating two-spotted spider mite. It boasts incredible mobility, darting around way faster than its prey, and it has an absolutely voracious appetite.
But you know what its biggest tactical advantage actually is? Its speed of reproduction. Under favorable temperatures, we're talking between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius, our hero develops from a tiny egg to a full adult in just 5.2 to 6.3 days. That is literally twice as fast as the pest. On top of that, a single female predator can lay up to 80 eggs in her lifetime, destroying over 30 eggs and more than 20 adult spider mites along the way. It is just an incredibly efficient, natural killing machine.
Part 3. Testing the perfect diet.
Okay, so before scientists can just unleash these predators into the wild, they needed to figure out how to effectively mass-produce them in the lab. Researchers basically set up this microscopic training ground in petri dishes. They wanted to test out different diets to see which was the most technologically feasible and cost-effective for mass breeding, all without the predator losing its killer instinct. So they offered the mites 3 distinct menu options: the eggs of their natural prey, the spider mite, the eggs of the cereal moth, and decapsulated cysts of Artemia crustaceans.
Now, what's really interesting here is that the predator showed an overwhelming preference. While the predatory mites did attack all the types of feed presented to them, they heavily favored the eggs of their natural enemy. An adult predatory mite consumed an average of 23.5 spider mite eggs every single day, compared to just 12.2 moth eggs and 7.2 crustacean eggs. The science was crystal clear here. If you want them at their absolute most voracious, you gotta let them eat spider mites.
Moving on to Part 4, Laboratory Population Battles.
Taking those dietary findings, the researchers set up a controlled environment to simulate a real, full-blown infestation. At the start of the experiment, they released a tiny strike force of just 20 predators into a booming population of over 120 spider mites. By day 7, the pest population hit its absolute peak growth, with the nymphs just surging. But our predators were actively feeding and multiplying. And by day 12, the tides had completely turned, leading to a total collapse of the pest population.
I mean, just listen to this devastating kill count the predators achieved by day 12. The spider mite eggs? Reduced by 88.3%. The nymphs were virtually wiped off the map, reduced by a staggering 97%. And the adults were slashed by 77.8%. Meanwhile, our initial little strike force of just 20 predators had completely boomed into an army of 180 nymphs and 94 adults. To put that into perspective, in the control group with no predators around, the pest population exploded to over 1,000 specimens. So yeah, this biological control was undeniably effective.
Part 5. Real-world greenhouse results. But as we all know, lab results are one thing. The real world is a whole different ballgame. During regular monitoring in early January, inside actual cucumber greenhouses in Kazakhstan, farmers spotted the first signs of the two-spotted spider mite on their plants. Within a week, those infestation levels jumped noticeably. So they fought back using a really precise tactical deployment ratio of 1 to 10. That's exactly 1 predatory mite released for every 10 pests spotted on the plants.
And the results? A totally decisive victory for sustainable agriculture. Within just 10 days of deployment, the predatory mites achieved a massive 70% reduction in the pest population. The predators quickly dispersed all across the plant leaves, actively fed and reproduced. The study actually notes that a single release of the predators was enough to protect the cucumbers and hold back the pest population so effectively that no further increase in mites was observed until the very end of the crop rotation. The best part? Absolutely no chemical acaricides were needed. 0.
Finally, Part 6. The Sustainable Farming Future.
So what does this microscopic victory actually mean for our broader food supply? Well, the study concludes that Persimilis is a highly effective biological control agent. By utilizing this microscopic predator, we can drastically reduce our reliance on chemical pesticides and promote sustainable, eco-friendly pest management in our farming frameworks. Basically, it keeps the cucumbers and tomatoes on our dinner plates fresh and ecologically clean. Now, it is important to note their success absolutely is dependent on maintaining those optimal environmental conditions, like the specific temperature and humidity within the greenhouse.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the microscopic warfare saving our greenhouses. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a microscopic predator can so efficiently save our vital crops without a single drop of toxic chemicals, what other brilliant natural solutions are just waiting to be deployed out there in our world? Thank you so much for joining me for today's Explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.